All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tailgate Kings. We are here again with another special interview. It's me, Casey Jones, and we are here with the one and only, the defiant Simon Phillips. Simon, what's up, dude? Welcome to the show.
So, brother, how you been?
Hey, good man. We talked a little bit before we got on, so we got to catch up a little bit. But yeah, been good. Been anxious to get you on the show. Anxious to hear about your newfound success lately. And since the last time we had you on any version of our show, a lot's happened in your career. So we got a lot to talk about. Old stuff, current stuff. But yeah, so give us a little bit about your backstory, like where you started, some like influence, like guys that influenced you to get involved and brought you to where you are now. So give us a little bit of backstory about who is Simon Phillips, the defiant Simon Phillips.
Yeah, so originally, it was originally started training professional wrestling in 2016. I was driving down to Morgan City. We trained in Mustang Mike's ring. It was essentially mostly at that time it was Wild Thing that was training. He was training me, JTM, and Brandon Collins. We later become Disobey. We made our debut. I think we all made our debut January 2017. I wrestled for a few years up until about COVID. COVID hit, kind of set back a little bit. You know how that was. Everybody had their own ordeal. Just kind of set me back a little bit. I took some time off. Really didn't even really think I was going to wrestle again, but my brother JTM, he started doing that disobey stuff, brought me back. Ever since then, it's just been a steady climb. And I sit here now, your brand new Pro Wrestling 225 SEC champion.
Yeah, I was talking recently to a few guys about how I was really surprised and happy not only to see you back, but recently, like you said, new SEC champion. And we'll segue right into that because a lot of people, and even your general manager said, came as a shock that this title change happened so quickly. Braxton had such a long road to the championship. And then when he finally does get it, here you come swooping in to the surprise of many to capitalize on this opportunity. Tell us a little bit about that, about why maybe there's a little bit of a shock factor to this title win. Do you think that it's because people underestimate you too much and maybe underestimated you a little too much going into this match?
I think definitely people underestimate. I think people have been underestimating since the beginning. But the thing is, it really should become as no surprise because if you look over the last 2-3 years, I'm the fastest rising star in the state. And it was just a matter of time before I had Pro Wrestling 225 gold around my waist. And we're not stopping here. I know we'll get into that too.
Yeah, it's I do have to admit and give you some flowers because I've known you since way early on in your career, like around the Lake Charles and Cecilia area. We were, me, you, Braxton, and Sage, a few of those guys back then. I knew a lot of you guys for a long time now, so I got to give you some flowers about where you are in your career now, and since your return after COVID, just how quickly your stock has risen in 225, and again, like I said, a shock to a lot of people, but that SEC title win, I think, very well deserved. But we do have to address an elephant in the room that some people are asking about. We do have to ask about what is your relationship with Vance here. So we saw something happen, and a lot of people have been asking about your 2 cents on that. So maybe a little clarity.
I know people have been conspiring about me and Jeff Vance. But if you go back, well, it hasn't aired yet, Casey. But when the match airs, you'll see during that match, I had no idea that Jeff was going to be out there, for one. For two, I didn't like that Jeff Vance was out there. I got in his face. I poured a whole bottle of water on him. I didn't like it. Why are we letting all these nobodies, these fans, why are we letting them sit ringside? I don't like that. So I don't know what all the hoorah is about whatever, conspiring with Jeff Vance. He was cheering on Braxton Hunter. Braxton Hunter was distracted, and I took advantage. Just simple as that.
So I guess I'll expand on that a little bit, just for journalistic integrity here. So the picture of you two that's circulating around social media of him pointing at you with the title "The Big Grin." Should people not read? Are you saying people shouldn't read into that as much? Maybe that's just like a getting a picture with you as the new champion, or what? Do you have
Yeah.
anything to say about that?
Well, when you're successful, regardless of if you care about if people like you or not, people are gonna gravitate towards you. Even though I poured a bottle of water on Jeff Vance, he's still, you know, he's a fan, he's a mark. So he wanted a picture with the champ. It's just really just that simple.
Okay, okay. Well, I had to ask. A lot of people have been bringing it up, but let's continue on with the SEC title. So, as a lot of people in the 225 fandom know, the SEC title is kind of considered like a workhorse championship. A lot of, along with the heavyweight, every championship at 225 really has been held by prestigious title holders, but the SEC championship specifically has garnered that notoriety for being a workhorse title. So, the big question is, what is your goal with the two or with the SEC championship? Is it to continue that workhorse mentality, win by any means necessary, or maybe a little bit of both?
Well, if there's anybody that's gonna represent the workhorse mentality, I mean, it doesn't get any better than me. So definitely, I plan on continuing that legacy. And as far as winning by any means necessary, that's every time I get in the ring. Don't let your guard down around me.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, giving you flowers a little bit on your career so far. Part of that, and your general manager mentioned that as well, is that you have been a workhorse in this company and in this pursuit of championship gold. So yeah, man, I firmly believe that you will carry on that integrity of the workhorse moniker when it comes to the SEC championship. And I'm really surprised or I'm really excited, sorry, to see your first defense when that may come. But let's talk about your next match, which is not a defense of that title, but it is a championship showcase. We're talking about March 8th against the Pro Wrestling 225 heavyweight champion, Vladimir Koloff, in Houma, Louisiana for Power Up. Now, a lot of people, including me, are saying that this is a potential match of the year candidate before it's even happened. Like you two getting in the ring, it's going to be a little weird considering the way that the 225 crowd feels about both of you guys. So it's going to be a little interesting to see how that works out. But talk to us about your mentality going into the match, what your plans are for arguably the most dominant heavyweight champion in the company's history.
Right. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I love the fact that Vlad has done what he's done. I want to give Vlad his flowers. He's had so much success. He's been unstoppable in 225. And that's just going to make it all the sweeter when I drop him on his head and beat him. And when I do beat him, that's just gonna open the door wide open. They're gonna have to give me a heavyweight title shot, and when that happens, I'm gonna have all the gold. Vlad did it. He just did it last year. I spoke on this recently. Like I said, much respect to Vladimir. When we get in that ring together, it's gonna be a hard fight. I have no doubt about it. But when it's said and done, like we just said, I'm gonna win by any means necessary. And when I win, Vlad, you have to put that title on the line.
Yeah, another interesting dynamic we mentioned in the last interview with Brett is Koloff never was pinned or never tapped out for that championship that you're holding right now. So I would assume that there would be a little added, I don't want to say pressure on his end because I don't even know if Koloff feels pressure anymore, but a little added incentive maybe to make this match even more spectacular than it might be. So I'm really excited. I'm a little disappointed I won't be in the building that night. I'll be at another show in another part of the state that night specifically. But man, I know somebody's going to record it, and even if I have to wait until it's uploaded to the 225 YouTube channel, ooh, I can't wait to see that. We might do a reaction to it. But yeah, I can't wait to see that. And I mean, like you said, if you do pick up a win against Vladimir Koloff, all of a sudden we're talking about a new championship dynamic in the landscape of 225. And what does that mean for you as the SEC champion, maybe going after the heavyweight championship? So very interesting dynamic. And whoever's going to be in the building there, you guys are in for a treat. Genuinely, I think it's going to be a match of the year contender for you guys. All right, so let's talk about somewhere else that you've been really showcasing your talents. Let's talk about Wildcat. Now, Wildcat has some deep-rooted history here in Louisiana. They've been here for quite a while. Talk to us a little bit about what it's been like working with Wildcat. They have a lot of high-profile names going through those doors. So I'm sure you've gotten to shake hands and chop it up with a lot of high-profile names. So what's that been like for you?
It's been great, man. I'm very happy and honored to have the opportunity I have with Wildcat. I've wanted to get there for a while, and the guys over there, they saw something in me. They gave me a chance. And that's all I ever need. All I ever need is a chance, and I'm going to prove myself. And now you're talking about the Revolution Rumble winner and the number one contender for the Revolution title.
Yeah, like I said, deep rooted history that Wildcat has here, and a lot of the names that have come through the up through the Louisiana system and have eventually made it out through the states and made a name for themselves went through Wildcat at some point. So again, really exciting moments that are happening in your career, and from a distance, I saw that and I was like, man, because I only knew it was a matter of time when I saw you were back and I saw the role you were on. I said there was no way that Wildcat wasn't gonna at least give you some sort of opportunity there. So congratulations on that. Really happy to see that.
So,
Now let's go back to a little bit in the beginning of the interview, and you were giving us a little bit of backstory. You talked about Disobey, right, and how you did allude to it, but of course, there's a lot of history that was left out there. So, I'm not asking you to go through the hours, long explanation that we could go through about the history of you guys, but give us a little bit about the backstory of the implosion of Disobey and kind of your mentality through that and how it's led to where you are now as Defiant Simon Phillips.
yeah, so in my mind, we went on a hell of a run. Disobey did nearly 2 years, or maybe even over 2 years. Disobey was just on a tear. 2-time Pro Wrestling 225 Tag Team Champions. We held tag titles in numerous promotions along the Gulf Coast, and I just felt like it was time. It was time for me to break away and get on my own. I knew I've always been destined for something greater, and I just had to get on a narrow path of my own path.
Yeah, and I mean it's worked out for you, right? I was going to say arguably, but there's really no argument to it. It's worked out for you. And again, I was watching all of that from a distance, because I stopped going to shows as much for a long time, but watching that from a distance and some of the cinematic stuff that you guys did as well, that you guys were posting on socials. That was around that era where a lot of cinematic stuff was going on, and it was really fun. It was really fun to watch you guys do what you were doing together because in the grand scheme of things, right, it didn't work out for you guys, but in when you consider the history that you guys have, it's kind of crazy and a really cool story that the 225 fans got to
And
see.
it was a very fun time. I cherish that time, and it really brought my love for professional wrestling back. Doing Disobey, brought my desire back to really go for it in this business.
Yeah, and I'll be honest about some of the rhetoric I was seeing online when you guys first introduced yourselves as that. There was a lot of skepticism about you guys and if you guys could even make that work. And there was a lot of people I saw genuinely, if I'm being honest with you, that had zero interest in seeing you guys doing what you were doing. And it was just so great to see you guys prove all of them wrong and just have great match after great match after great match and championship success and then all the great storylines you had with and against each other. So it was great to see you guys prove some of those doubters wrong because as you know, I saw plenty of them about you guys. Yeah, because for every person that loves you, you got 10 haters. So
Exactly.
all right, so let's talk about outside of 225, just your fandom as a wrestling fan. So while while I'll admit I'm not I do watch every week, but there are as a parent and just real life, sometimes I can't catch Raw live. Sometimes I started at 9 p.m. or I'll catch SmackDown the next day, whatever.
Well,
But everybody keeps up with the product in some way. So who are some of your current favorites and who are some of your all-time favorites?
current favorites, I really like Chad Gable. You can't go wrong with
Okay.
him. Daniel Bryan, all time and current. Obviously, Bryan Danielson. My favorite right now, I'd have to say, is Gunther for sure. I think I like to model a lot of what I do after him. I really like the old school, but still, he can go with anybody.
Yeah, his presentation is great. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. So yeah, he's my favorite right now. All time favorite. Growing up, I really loved Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, and I've always a spot for Batista. I always loved Batista growing up.
These are good names, man. Yeah, I mean, like I'm a few years older than you, but we're about that same age. And so yeah, Rey Mysterio. I'm a shorter guy, so Rey Mysterio, of course, as a kid, and I mean, also he's been wrestling for like 30 years, 40 years. So I mean, Ray, like you said, Kurt Angle, and then crazy that, or not crazy, but makes sense that you like Chad Gable because Chad Gable's so reminiscent of Angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan, of course. I got a lot of, you look like Daniel Bryan. Yeah, ha, ha, yeah, ha. I get it. So yeah, those are some great names. I gotta say, honestly, I love Dirty Dom. I love what Dirty Dom does a lot. Like a lot of people who don't understand how great he is at what he does don't like him,
He's very
but
good.
oh my gosh, man! Like his the way he gets the crowd to just absolutely hate him, and a lot of people think he can't go in the ring, but like obviously he can. So it's I like him a lot. Kairi Sane, I'm a huge fan of Kairi Sane. She can really go, and that elbow is just crazy.
Hell yeah.
All time favorite. I mean, Punk back in the day when he was doing like Straight Edge Society and all that stuff. Edge, Rated R Superstar, yes
Punk's
sir.
definitely up there too. He's up.
What's that?
I said Punk's definitely up there on my list too, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Genuinely never thought I would see him ever come back to WWE.
Oh, no.
I genuinely thought it was you know how they say never. I was like, that's a never. It's never happening. And here we are. But I will look. I got a few fan questions for you. Most of these are going to be from our good friend Donnie. So shout out to Donnie for listening in. But let's talk about. Do you remember your first match in wrestling? Your
Yeah.
very first match?
Yep. That was first ever Pro Wrestling 225 show. I was the first ever match in Pro Wrestling 225. I faced The Rocket, and I was the first ever winner of a Pro Wrestling 225 match.
Man, that's Rocket. That's crazy. I actually did not know that. I got to be honest. I didn't know your first match was against Rocket. That's pretty cool. My favorite match. Do you have it can be from anywhere, really anywhere in your career. Do you have a favorite match? I know it's kind of hard because
It's
you
hard.
probably have a lot of good ones and a lot of that like hold a special place. But
Matches that hold a special place. This past year, I had the chance to wrestle. I had the chance to wrestle Moose at the Coastal Wrestling Federation, so that's obviously going to hold a very special place. Another match that holds a very special place would be my Wildcat debut against Tyree Taylor. That was a great match. And then my most recent match when I won this title against Braxton Hunter. Me and Braxton used to wrestle each other all the time when we first broke in, but since then we've grown into completely different competitors, completely different styles than when we first started wrestling. A lot more experience, just turned into two young veterans. And this past match we had when I won this title, I got that. That's up there for one of my favorite matches for sure.
yeah, I knew the SEC one would be up there. Yeah, man, you've gotten to wrestle some big names, and now looking at the fact that Moose just debuted in NXT, it looks like he's going to be having a program with Obafemi and Tyree Taylor as well. I've seen him all over the place. So you've gotten the opportunity to wrestle some big names, and like you said, you and Braxton coming up together. Yeah, you guys must have wrestled each other dozens of times at this
Mhm.
point. So
Another honorable
considering,
mention would be the Disobey Triple Threat match. That was a great match too.
ooh, that's a good one. That's actually on our list. We've been talking to some 225 fans and people internally to get a good list of matches we should react to, and that one was on the list.
That'd be a good
Uh,
one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. All right, so let's talk about this is also from Donnie. He wants to know, Brett or Sean? Are you a Brett or Sean guy? Whose side were you on for the Montreal screw job?
Shine. I'm a Shine guy all the way.
Yeah, I am too. No diss towards Brett at all. I think he's one of the most technically gifted wrestlers to ever enter a ring. But Sean just had that flair, man. He was pro wrestling.
Right. And by the time I was getting into it, I never really I don't even know if I was born when the Montreal screw job happened. But, Shine was still wrestling when I was coming up. He was active most of the time, so I grew to love Shine.
Yeah, we're gonna make a lot of old heads feel a lot older now. But I think I was 2 when the Montreal screw job happened. So
Right.
yeah, we were pretty young. Yeah, and like you said, Sean was pretty active into my like preteen and teen years.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see, what year did he retire? Was it 11 or something like that?
Something like
It
that.
was, yeah, somewhere in there. And yeah, so he was around, but like never a world champion for that last good bit, which was crazy. He was so good, had such great matches, and wasn't a world
He,
champion.
he didn't need to be at that point.
Nope, he didn't. For the last like 7 years of his career, he wasn't, and put on great, fantastic. I mean, two of the best matches of all time against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And honestly, I think really underrated WrestleMania match, Shawn Michaels and John Cena at 23.
Great
Or
match.
was it 22? 23. It was 23 for the WWE title, man. And then their 1 hour Iron Man match on Raw. Jeez, what a that was a program. All right, so speaking of dream matches and programs that have happened before, let's talk real quick about some matches and programs that you still want to happen. Some names that might still be on that list, whether it's shooting for the stars or guys that are in 225, maybe lined up for a shot at your championship.
Me and Vladimir Kolov finally having a one-on-one match. We've never had that. So that's going to be, we're knocking that off March 8th, Houma, Louisiana. That's going to be a good one. Another match that has not happened is me versus Wes Warren one-on-one. That needs to happen. Another match that hasn't happened, that'd be good. Maybe we go title for title as well, would be Hunter Law, the movement champion. As far as shooting for the fences, I think I'd say I'd love to get the chance to wrestle Bryan Danielson. That'd be amazing. That'd be a dream come true. Who knows if that'll, time will line up like that. I don't know. That's a big what if, but that's who I'd love to wrestle. I think there's still time to wrestle someone like Gunther. That'd be awesome.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, most definitely, dude. And you mentioned Wes Warren. Wes Warren, who we have to get on the show, just set the record for most eliminations in a Super Gold Rumble, I think.
Yeah.
Man, I think it was 10, yeah?
Yeah, I think
That's
I was the 10th one too.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that. I forgot. So, well, I didn't mean to bring up old wounds, but the night ended pretty well for you, regardless. But for 2025, what's your biggest goal for Simon Phillips for 2025?
I'm always looking to climb the ladder. I want to continuously be on the up. As far as my biggest goal for 2025, at the minimum, I would at least want to be able to say that I've gauged the interest of some of the bigger companies by the end of 2025 and hopefully be in talks of, trying to make that move.
Are you looking to go to other states this year?
Definitely, yeah. We looking to spread my wings, get out there, try to go coast to coast this year.
Always looking to get somewhere, right? I want to see you and some of the other guys that I've seen come up and really grow in the business. I want to see you guys get out of the country. I want to see you guys go to Japan or
Oh,
Mexico.
yeah, and that's another huge goal. I think get a passport, get all that squared away. I think Mexico and Japan are definitely on the list.
100%. And I want to go just as a wrestling fan to see shows there as like just in the crowd. So I can only imagine what the energy is like wrestling in front of a crowd like that. I know sometimes they are a little more quiet and reserved and a little more respectful of the craft, but still when they're hype and loud, man, just watch it. I could only imagine.
And I'd also like to note, the Gulf Coast scene, I guess, if you want to call it that. I think it's better now than it's ever been. And I think you're gonna start seeing over the next few years, you're gonna start seeing guys make it out and get contracts coming straight from the Gulf Coast scene.
Couldn't agree more. And with the new WWE ID system that's been coming up lately, I just don't see how this isn't anything but a super huge positive for
Really.
just the indie scene in general. But like you said, I think a lot of guys are going to start getting a lot more recognition, even the guys that have been in for a minute. When you talk about guys like Ray Fury, Barrett Brown, when you talk about a lot of those guys,
Christian
I
Blake.
agree. Christian Blake, of course, the first and only two-time Super Gold winner. So you talk about guys like that, and there are numerous. And I know I'm gonna get some guys that might be like, "Oh, you didn't say me." I didn't forget about you guys. This is on the
There's
spot.
plenty. There's plenty. There really is.
Plenty. That's the
There's a lot
thing.
of, there's a lot of guys who paved the way for the scene to be what it's becoming now.
100%. And the way that they, like you said, paved the way. Not only has your generation like taken the ball and run with it, but from the the road that you had paved for you,
Uh-huh.
you guys have accelerated. And really, I mean, when you look at the champions in 225, look at the youth. When you look, especially in the women's division, the man, you guys just have a lot of talent just oozing out of 225. So you're right. The Gulf Coast scene has never been better. and it's just going to continue to get better. And I think a lot of people are going to get some great opportunities. Now, last thing, and then we're going to get out of here. This is, again, another fan question I got to ask about Dangerous Grove Wrestling.
Yeah.
You got to tell us about that and a little bit about the backyard scene that you guys were doing. So please tell us about Dangerous Grove Wrestling.
Dangerous Grove Wrestling, DGW. It consumed my entire high school life. We did very good, 40, 50 different people came through and wrestled, backyard, it was backyard wrestling. Nobody was trained, very dangerous, We were very blessed that there was never any serious injuries. I say serious injuries. I mean, we had some stuff happen, of course,
Of
but
course, of course.
yeah, man, it consumed my entire high school, and we really built something. We were recording every single week, and I was just scrolling yesterday on YouTube looking at all the videos, and it's just crazy how we posted so much, almost, at least weekly, sometimes multiple times a week. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like 2 hour shows, 3 hour shows. It was crazy it's crazy the amount of footage we were producing, and it was paying off. Like, we had, I think, 30,000 subscribers on YouTube at one point before we kind of shut it down. We went pro. We made all the videos private, so it's not really. You can still look up Dangerous Grove Wrestling. You'll find some clips for sure, but
Yeah.
as far as the full catalog, that's for the privacy of the boys.
Yeah, it's on lockdown now. That's in the vault.
Sure.
I did hear through the grapevine about some of the like a friend of mine saw some of you guys' videos, and so man, maybe one day I'll be fortunate enough to see something. But that's just so cool that like because that was like Dale Springs was involved in that, right? Yeah. So
You'd be surprised how many guys in 225, from the camera crew, production crew to wrestlers. You'd be surprised how many guys had a part of DGW.
we might have to do a little DGW doc or something like that.
Yeah,
We might have to.
that's been in the talks for a while, man. It
Oh man,
goes deep.
I can't wait to see where that goes. Well, that got brought up to me, and then I was told about because I genuinely didn't even know that you guys had that backyard background. Because you know, there's a difference between like doing something organized in the backyard setting and like backyard carny stuff.
Right.
So it's like when I was told about this, I was like, man, I got to see it. And so it's really cool hearing you talk about it. I can't wait to see something about it.
Definitely.
But yeah, man, I really appreciate you telling us about that. But yeah, that's really all I had for you. So we're gonna get out of here soon. But before I do let you go, please tell us your socials, where we can find you, and if you have any other than Power Up. I mean, you could talk about Power Up, but other than that, if you have any shows coming up.
Yeah, we got Power Up coming up on March 8th, and then we got Wildcat Sports on March 29th. Tickets go on sale this Friday for that show. And then as far as socials go, find me on Instagram at Defiant Simon Phillips. Facebook, you can find me Simon Phillips, and you can find me on X at Simon Wrestles.
Sweet, and we'll be, like you saw and like we talked about before, there'll be some clips that will be producing out of here, and they'll all be collabed with him, and he'll be tagged in them. So if you're seeing us here and you don't know where to find him, and or whatever, and you're seeing the clips, he'll be below on all of them. So
There.
yeah, dude. Well, look, I really appreciate you stopping through. It's been a long time coming.
Very good to see you.
Yeah, dude. I can't wait to see you guys. I can't wait to see you in person. Again, really sad I'm gonna have to miss your match against Vlad, but I'm sure we'll have Vlad back on at some point, and I'm sure he'll have something to say about it after the fact. So
Yeah. I'm
I
glad
hope it all works out in your
yeah.
favor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna let you get out of here, and for Simon Phillips, the defiant Simon Phillips, this is Casey Jones and the Tailgate Kings, and we are signing off.